Hi, everyone. I'm Evelyn. I'm the founder of EHBM. We are an M&A firm for mobile apps and games, and I'm proud to say that it's like the fastest growing M&A firm. I don't know if ever, but at least in the industry for sure. And my favorite tool is Grok, that is a chat GPT from Twitter, basically, X.
Thank you so much, Evelyn. That's a good one. Now, Marius, next.
Hello, my name is Mariusz. Work in Google, a lot of with the data. Favorite tool, of course, I would not be very objective saying that, I really like those new Google solutions, Gemini 3. I think, it's adding a lot of value. And I think Nano Banana is really something that is, making my children very happy as well.
Amazing. Thank you so much. Love that. And next we have Nathan.
Hey, everyone. Great to be here. I'm Nathan, founder of Perceptics. My favorite AI tool of the year. What? This is a tough one. I'm going to say a combination of Sora 2 and VO 3.1. Shout out to Google. Yeah, for just AI creative generation. Really fun to play with, really game changing, but it will probably change by next Monday.
Brilliant. Thank you, Nathan. And last but certainly not least, Arti, welcome.
Hi, I'm Arti from Moloko, Senior New Business Manager. I'm going to be very classic. I'm going to say my favorite, only because it's probably the one I use the most. And recently I've been doing a lot of interior design with it as well. And it's actually proving to be really good. But my ChatGPT has made my house go from really boring and blank to actually like something that's quite fun and nice lighting and lots of colors. And you just take a picture of the room and tell it to make it look better, and it gives you a million ideas, and I love it for it, as well as obviously correcting all my spelling mistakes in my emails and everything else that I use it for work for.
Thank you, Arti. Such a nice tip. And I've heard that from a few people this week also. So thanks for sharing. But all right, welcome to today's panel, to the four of you. It's really a pleasure to having you here. But without any further ado, I want to already kickstart the conversation. So our first prediction: AI native media buying becomes default in 2026. So we've already seen huge leaps this year, but next year is set to accelerate everything. And I will start right away with Nathan on this one, as I know this is a big one for you as well. So right now, how much of your campaign work is managed by AI? And do you see maybe yourself going 100% AI managed in the next year?
Yeah, I mean, we try and use AI wherever possible, wherever it makes sense, should I say. So I think for us, it really comes down to, are the AI optimizations and the AI tools and features available driving better results than not using them? So manual or old-fashioned ways. And I guess a great example is if we just take Meta and we toggle Advantage Plus on everything and use Advantage everything and Advantage everything, it doesn't always drive the best results, and it's not always the way to go. So for us, it's a constant kind of work in progress. But I think over the next year, this may change quite a bit. But yeah, that's kind of how things are for us at the moment.
Great. I love hearing how far along you already are. Arti, what about you? Where is AI making this biggest difference in your stack today?
Yeah, so Moloko is a performance DSP, and actually a significant portion, should I say, of the campaign management at Moloko is already automated through AI. And I think by 2026, we expect pretty much most campaigns for the operational side, especially, to be AI by default. And then just to give you a couple of examples here, it's like things like when we look at like Creative Studio, our Creative Studio team are using AI to generate things like assets, localize the assets, maybe produce variations of the assets as well, with speed. And then you've got like the account management team, and they're defined, like the account management teams will always help you define things like your campaign goals, your budgets, put the guardrails in place. But the AI part of it will support with the setup, the recommendations, the automated troubleshooting. We've got things like, we're working towards like a fully AI agent as well for operational tasks. And so it allows us as humans to become a lot more strategic in our thinking versus just becoming operational. But in terms of the actual DSP itself, all the bidding and the optimization is already fully AI driven. So it allows our models to predict, who to be buying for, when to be buying at the best price, all in real time, and it continuously is learning from that as well. So yeah, I think for Moloko in particular, we are heavily AI driven, and we're using it to basically help with campaign performance in all those 4 areas.
Brilliant, Artie. Thank you so much. We love hearing that. Then Marius, how close do you think teams really are to letting AI run the full show, if we can
So
say?
like on the Google side, like Google started to use those AI solutions very, very early. Yeah. So like that's why especially if we talk about like, app solutions that are like, fully based on AI now, they include only not just campaign optimization, but creation of creatives based, for example, based on some parts of the listing on the Google Play. Now I think there is more and more like really combination of AI and data. So like in most of the gaming categories, like 80 to 90% of the budget goes via different like TROAS solutions where you have AI based on the value of the user. So I think it's kind of going in that direction. And if we look at that, how much focus even Google is actually adding to this, creative solutions based on AI, I'm kind of expecting that to grow, but still, of course, leaving some like brand controls and topics that allow the brands to really change or remove some audiences they do not want to target in such campaigns.
Amazing, thank you. Now I have the next question that directed to Artie, really looking at you. If AI is assembling creative in real time, what becomes this new role of the creative strategist?
I think it's an interesting question. But I do think the creative strategy becomes more important as a role, because I think at the moment what ends up happening is, as you're a creative strategist, but actually how much time are you just doing operational work versus actually being a strategist? And AI is there to support with, making sense of the insights, helping you generate assets. But as a creative strategist, like essentially your role moves from being production, but it would actually be direction, because AI is going to be able to do a lot of things, but it still can't give your brand emotion. It can't sometimes do things like cultural nuances and the actual storytelling you want. Other aspects of it would also be things like AI is very good at understanding which creative is performing, and then it kind of almost takes that creative and it keeps rolling with that. So it doesn't actually allow you to put something new on top, because what it's actually saying is, this is working really well, let's now make another iteration of that, let's make another iteration of that. And that's great, because what it understands is it's performing well. But if you wanted to tell a whole new story and you wanted to put something really different on top, it's not going to automatically think of that. That is where the strategist becomes really important, because that's where their role will start changing, because you're providing the direction and you're not necessarily having to deal with all the menial jobs, basically.
Absolutely, that human layer of taste and context doesn't disappear. Nathan?
Yeah, it becomes a lot more interesting.
For sure. Thank you. Thanks, Artie, for that feedback. Nathan, any points you want to add here?
Yeah, for sure. I think I like to make a distinction between kind of the focus for creative teams in 2025 and what it was in 2024. In 2024, it was all about creative volume, across many platforms, Google, TikTok, Meta, it was all volume, volume, volume. And this year's become more of a focus on diversity, whether that means finding winning creatives that perform across different placements, targeting different jobs to be done, different demographics, just diverse concepts. Well, when AI can produce creatives to a very high standard really quickly, essentially without any human impact or input, we have a new problem, which is creative prioritization. Specifically, if I can produce 1,000 or 2,000 creatives in the next hour, which ones should I launch? I only have a certain amount of ad spend. So I think the creative strategist role becomes one about really validating ideas, to an extent becoming a really great prompt engineer, and two, prioritizing these, figuring out which creatives to launch at which times, understanding the trends, understanding some of these hidden layers. Artie mentioned kind of cultural nuances and other things. I think there's still a lot for the creative strategist to do, especially when everyone's going to end up cloning everyone else's creatives as quickly as possible. It will kind of be whoever finds a net new winning concept first wins. Within an hour, everyone's copied them, but hopefully they've, done enough in the auction to get that advantage.
Very
Yeah,
interesting.
but maybe to even like build what Nathan was saying, I think like there was like a lot of this discussion in the past around like understanding the target audience, brand building, and like I would say what kind of message you should like target to the specific audience, and I think that for like many years it was kind of more like the theory, not much practice could be done, and now I think we are exactly coming to that space where you can really put it into the practice in the really, really big scale. Yeah. So like I think those who will not those that have the best models will win, but those who understand the best the target audiences, because those models, they will not work well without us understanding those target audiences.
And adding on top of Marius, I know we are getting out of the agenda, but I think this is interesting. If you know your target audience, you can also find new ways to advertise. I think like if we continue advertising with like heavy paid UA as it was in COVID and the year after and the year after, you're probably not gonna distinguish yourself from the other players in the App Store. So if we see like some of the fastest growing non-gaming apps, they are doing other types of advertising. The founders are going to speak on TV shows at night. So you see their faces when you're having dinner with your family and then you try the app. Or Strava is going like out of home experiences with users, like come and run with Strava and Chipotle in New York City. So I think it's also, if you understand your audience, you can come up with these new creative ways. And probably this is also gonna fit the creative pipeline of like, hey, this was really good in person. We should double down on this topic that the people were excited about.
Thank you, Evelyn, and thanks for everyone for the input. I think it's great. I think it's all about AI freeing up marketers' time to think about it strategically rather than the operations side of things. So thanks, Paul. We have now another question for Nathan within the first prediction. How do you feel that Meta has publicly targeted near end-to-end AI automation by 2026? Does it maybe excite you or worry you?
Well, I mean, I hope to still have a job at the end of 2026, so there's that. But no, jokes aside, I mean, yeah, realistically, I think they can do it. I don't think there's a reason why they can't. Yeah, so I think it's a bold claim, but realistically, if we look at the type of creatives that the AI is producing right now already with some of these generative models, videos specifically, images with Nano Banana, they're very good. How many of our winners are purely AI generated? Not that many, but the progress is certainly there. And when Meta has all of these data points, it's possible. So I mean, I think it's going to be the case, like a lot of the things they release, that it kind of takes the market by storm. Some people love it. For some people, it doesn't work that well. It's probably going to be a part of everyone's strategy. A certain percentage of spend will probably be fully managed by Meta, and there'll still be other teams and other creative partners and creative agencies and creators doing what they have been. But yeah, I think it's certainly possible, and let's see if we have this discussion next year.
Very interesting, for sure. Let's keep it up then. Now moving to the second prediction then. Creative fatigue will skyrocket, so we will be pushed to produce even more, and we touched it briefly as well. Evelyn, let me maybe start with you. How many creative sets are you releasing each week, and how many do you expect to be doing next year to still stand out?
Yeah, I will leave that to the rest of the table, that I think like Artie and Nathan are more hands-on paid UA. But from my side, it's like, to the previous point, what are the new creative concepts that you can introduce that engage with the audience in a different way than just like frequency on Meta ads? I think that's gonna be interesting in 2026. And also having in mind that like people are already sorry, too many meetings today. They are skeptical with like AI creatives. They just don't like them. Like if they notice that it's AI, they just keep scrolling. So I think that's not gonna help a lot. So you're gonna need to find new ways to advertise with these, like TV, in person, different types of like communication with users, and that's also gonna feed the creative pipeline.
Brilliant. I'm handing over to Artie then. If what about you then? How do you prevent this every ad from looking the same?
It's actually really difficult if you're just purely relying on AI. And I think we did actually just cover this, but when your data set is, when you've got your AI data set, essentially it is always going to be looking at producing a lot of ads very quickly, which is great. But yes, we're already hearing it actually in the market. We're already hearing this, like many creatives are looking the same, and it's because the machine like overfits and over indexes to it, so it exploits that winning concept without exploring enough new concepts. And so this is where I think that human interaction is still really needed to make sure, yes, the AI is future-led AI, but we still need to be transparent and we still need to steer like the marketeer's needs. And that's exactly what like Moloko is doing. We're not fully relying on it. We do need to have that human interaction because we need to steer it and then allow it to do its job, if that makes sense. But yeah, like that's kind of the way we have been going about it. We're constantly trying to explore those new concepts, and that's what the human brain does. AI is not doing that for you.
I love that differentiated through story rather than just the assets. I think it's a great team for sure. Nathan or Marius, do you have something you want to add here?
I mean, it's like I think like this fatigue, like ad fatigue is like not only topic related to AI, it's just related to like number of those like ads overall. Yes, so it's like I think for the last few years, like people see more and more like even not ads but different messages. Like you go out to the street, you like you go to the shop and like you spend an hour of your day, and of course you see more and more messages. So of course like AI is adding additional ones on the top of it because then you have even more of that. But I think I don't think is that fatigue is only related to AI. I'm not so 100% sure if I look at the different creatives if really so many people care about if they are done with AI or not. I'm not so sure about that, being honest. I think it's just either they like them or not. Either they those ads like give specific emotion and like specific message, and of course still like we see like even from the like let's kind of from the practical perspective, not all those AI creatives are perfect yet. Yeah, so if you look at that creative, you can see, okay, it's not so smooth, it's not so perfect. But if you look at how actually it's developed over the last 12 20 months, it's like it's getting better and better. Yeah, so like I think there is now even this so much discussion around this Coca-Cola art as the example. Yeah, so when there was like I think quite a lot of in involvement and not necessarily good feedback, but it's not just only about AI.
Great, and we'll see how things evolve going to the next year for sure. I'm just conscious of our time here, so I'll just jump right into our third prediction, which is performance marketing becomes the core growth engine once again. So Artie, I'll pass it over to you, and maybe then Evelyn, do you think web-first businesses with apps will double down on performance since AI helps them better understand customer value across touch points, although they don't have a mobile team?
Yeah, I think if we're thinking about apps doubling down on performance, first of all, it's really interesting because AI actually lowers barrier for basically businesses to make apps, first of all. And so that app investment is actually lower than ever it has been before. And the other thing to also remember, and it's just kind of part and parcel of this, but when we think about like doubling down on performance. The reason we're talking about this is because very naturally what's been happening for years is companies treat performance advertising and brand advertising as two separate things. And actually the fact is all advertising, regardless of whether it's upper funnel or lower funnel, they all have a measurable they all meant to have a measurable outcome. So they're all somehow performance related. It's just we've always been treating them very differently. And I think with AI coming into play, actually it provides us with the tools and the reporting to obviously make sure that you can see the full funnel of like what's actually happening, so you can allow for better accreditation to your campaigns. That being said, I mean, I think there's another aspect to this as well, which is searchability as well. Like at the end of the day, we've got now, I think there's a billion different apps out there, AI driven apps, and you can ask them a question and they will basically tell you the answer. So you no longer need to even go onto a site to find what you need to find. You can speak to your phone and you can just tell it to do your shopping for you, and it will put stuff in your basket for you. So the idea of searching for stuff on web and etc. is also not there. So then I think there's this other element is brands will be investing more so in areas where they can actually get become stickier with their customers, be able to still get that rich data from them, and things like apps are a great place for them, because ultimately AI agents are doing a lot of the searching for you, and then eventually they will end up coming into the apps where they can become stickier and more like have a relationship with the consumer.
Thank you, Artie. Evelyn, what's your take here?
Yeah, I think we are seeing a really big trend with UA financing, which is like a non-dilutive type of capital that companies get and they need to pay back. So definitely you need to have performance in place. So definitely like focus on performance, but also an overall like industry growth on paid UA spend, just because there's more capital allocation than it was before. And in terms of brand versus performance, I think thinking like if you have a startup and you get VC funding, maybe you have like capital to spend in brand, even if you don't know how it's gonna perform. But if you get UA financing and you need to pay back, you kind of need to perform, yes or yes. So you cannot play with that. So I think yeah, it's gonna still like play a big role performance next year.
Thank you, Evelyn. Thank you, Artie. With that, we are in for a classic debate. As pressure on marketers to get more from every dollar forces everything, does brand versus performance even make sense anymore in 2026? And Marius, looking in your direction first.
I think like there is like in some way still like still you are building your brand, and brand matters, and we see that those companies have strong brand, they have better like odd recall, they have like better performance, so on. So I think there will be still brand and performance existing as the entities, just that their approach will be different. Yes, so now you have actually more ways to understand more like the tangible KPIs behind the brand, for example. Yeah, like how many people are searching, for example, how many are like going directly to how many people are like downloading, for example, your app, or like how many people like what is your ad recall versus specific like benchmark. Yes, so I think there is still like this on like this probably this border between performance and brand is getting a little bit thinner. In the way that we more and more often talking about this brand performance, or like similar terms where it's like this kind of combination of both, but still I don't expect that even in 2026 it would be only down funnel. Yeah, you need to still build some interest on the top to actually get something like down the funnel. Yeah.
Thank you, Marius. That's a very interesting perspective. Nathan, can you share with us what you think about this brand versus performance topic?
Yeah, for sure. I think it's an interesting one because I don't like brand versus performance. I think that there's brand through performance and there's performance through brand. And by that, I mean, if you've taken on this non-dilutive funding or you're early stage and bootstrapped, either you either you can survive at the end of the month or you can't. So the focus is essentially performance. It is how do I optimize my UA spend? How do I increase my short-term ROI and diminish the payback period? But in the process of doing that, recognize that every piece of content you push out is having an impact on your brand, whether it's positively impacting your brand or it's a message that you don't want to be associated with. It is leaving an impression in the prospect's mind of your product and your brand. And I think this is super key. And then as you scale up and all of a sudden, you've scaled your spend, you've got good payback periods, and you now want to start reaching those users that maybe aren't solution aware or maybe aren't even problem aware, and you want to start pushing into education, it becomes more about performance through brand. And by this, I mean you're focusing on building brand recognition and educating consumers so that over time, this traffic converts and you see improved performance. So I think they always work together, and I don't really think they can be separated. The difference I think we're going to see moving into 2026 is that when everyone can clone everyone's creative in minutes, if not days, days at least, shall we say, then it's going to become really important to have a strong brand. And if we see the same creative, whether this is on organic social, whether this is on paid social, and I see a logo or icon that I recognize versus one that I don't recognize, I'm more inclined to convert. So I think it's going to be really important to actually double down on brand moving into 2026, and to the points made earlier from Artie, especially when you can not only clone creatives but clone products. And we see this all the time in the industry, right? Oh, this is trending. Let me compete with this app, and I'm going to completely copy their app and try and compete. Brand matters.
Absolutely. So when everything looks the same, I guess trust becomes the differentiator there then. Okay, I mean, amazing. Those are all great points. Thanks so much. We'll move on to prediction number 4 as we are almost running out of time. That is LLM-driven app discovery opens up new opportunities. So Artie, I start with you again. How do you think LLM will change the way users search for and choose apps?
Yeah, I did just mention this as well, but it's crazy. If you think about you as even as a consumer, how much you were probably using your AI search tools, like even last year in comparison to this year, you're using it a lot more now than ever before. So next year is just going to go even better. I think ChatGPT now has something like 800 million users on a monthly basis, right? There are 30,000 AI apps out there on the store. And we already know that 5% of all desktop searches are happening through LLM. So that alone is already telling you there is a shift. Things are changing. How we are finding information is changing. How we're discovering information is changing. And it's getting disruptive as well. So it's a really interesting time, because I think, before you would go on to Google, you would write your search in, and then you get your 10 links, your 10 top links, should I say what they call 10 blue links or whatever they are. That they're struggling. That's a struggle, because now that SEO teams, they don't have, they're struggling because they're not getting as much money as before, because people are discovering through like AI apps and AI agents and etc. So I think it's going to be a really interesting time as we see this kind of happening in the next year. But yeah, I think AI is going to completely change how we discover, evaluate, and even access apps. And we need to be ready for that.
Absolutely. Just to close the round here, Marius, Nathan, what's your point of view here? What does this mean for web to app funnels, AEO, or advertising inside ChatGPT and so on?
Yeah, still, of course, apps, I think, will be becoming important in the way that what we kind of need to understand that if you look at the latest years, growth of the business is more growing by the growing monetization, not by growing audiences, yeah. Because for example, how much really the internet usage is not really growing, yeah. So that's one side why I think apps overall will be important, and discovering them, I think, of course there will be more ways to discover them, either exactly like web to app funnels that are, I think, became especially important in some verticals like fitness or like health. But still, I think for a long time, still the core will be the core. Of course, incremental will be often coming from other places. But what I think would be, I would say, more challenging, and then maybe those additional disruptive way can be the kind of way to change it, is that like this revenue downloads concentration. Yeah, so like I think what we see now is just like really small number of apps or like small number of websites are responsible for a huge percentage of the traffic. Like in games, like like top 50 games are responsible for like 40% of the revenue. Yeah, so of course those like additional ways to discover can be used by like sometimes smaller players, for example, to try to go around, try to like find specific niche, or like try to test something different that someone did not test, and get this additional business from that side.
Thank you, Marius, for your comments here. We'll just quickly wrap up with a fifth and final prediction. A new AI native UA platform will emerge by 2026 as a next big opportunity. I know this is a big one, Artie. Have you got something to comment? Do you think we're close to this next breakout channel after Snapchat and TikTok?
I think we could see a new breakout channel. I think it probably is too early to call anything like the next TikTok. But there are some really interesting apps coming out in the market, and they are changing things. Like if you look at Companion AI, they show like strong daily engagement. If you look at a lot of these short form drama apps like Real Short in Drama Box, they've got like a really interesting concept where it's very bingeable. They've got great monetization loop. If we basically see like another big player coming from that's a very interesting area, because then all of a sudden the question is, it's like, can we consolidate these, and then are they going to become like the new UA destination? Other things to look at as well, like if we look at Fortnite, like that's a really interesting place there. Like you've got Fortnite creatives, you've got retail marketplaces like Amazon, Walmart, Uber, etc. And then let's not forget there's always new performance channels as well that are booming or coming through, like CTV. So yes, I do think there will be new UA opportunity. I think it's quite early to say what it's going to be, but I do think if we keep our eyes on things like these categories and areas where we're really seeing a boom coming through, I think we should keep our eye there. But these are all going to be like performance related, and they're all going to become outcome driven areas that you're going to see.
Very, very cool. Evelyn, I see you have your hand up.
Yes, I have a question for Nathan. Now that we are live, I think this is gonna be fun. But I get tons of health and fitness clients that they are doing web to app funnels. And I know that you are like the web to app god. So I'm wondering, like, do you think that for next year there's gonna be a saturation of web to app funnels specifically for health and fitness apps?
Yeah, good question. Yes. Yes, in as much as I think I wouldn't say saturation, in as much as I think it just becomes the default norm, and then we start to see fatigue, like like we see ad fatigue, banner blindness, we'll see funnel fatigue, and then they'll just stop converting as well, and then people will move away from them, or they'll take a different shape, and I think in some cases we're seeing this already. Yeah, so I definitely think that next year, if everyone, especially if people don't innovate on the funnels and they just copy everyone else, users will just become blind to them. But I don't think that the big players are going to struggle.
Thank you. Thanks for the question as well. We are pretty much over time. I just want to finish the round with a strong takeaway. Maybe I'll ask the four of you for maybe what's your one takeaway that the audience can leave with if they forget everything else. Maybe I'll do a quick round in the room.
Yeah, I think if I can start, something that all of us mentioned is like brand is still like king. And if you have a strong brand, pretty much probably almost any channel is gonna work for you.
Thank you.
Maybe from my side, I think the main promise of AI is that it can give you more time for the strategic and like, long-term thinking. And I think that's will be really true if people will use it.
Thanks, Marius. Anyone else?
Yeah, I would say don't underestimate AI, but take it for what it is each and every day. In as much as a lot of people say, "Oh, AI will never be able to do X," or "AI will never be able to do Y." Maybe, but maybe it will, and that's more scary. So probably we should imagine what the world looks like if it can, and then adjust to that. But recognizing if it can't today, then it can't today. So there's only so much time to spend thinking about it.
Very good. Thank you, Artie.
Yeah, and I think I'll just like add on to Nathan a little bit here. So I think AI will do the work, but as humans, we should set the direction. And if we get the direction right, AI will be able to scale it. It will be able to accelerate your performance. It will be able to give you that creative adaptations, and it will be able to give you signal optimization as well. And it allows you to free up your time to do bigger thinking, like, and not just worry about waking up in the morning and spend half a morning like either fixing a broken pixel or a tracking pixel or something, or like writing an email about why did my CPI go up by 3 cents yesterday? Like, we don't need to waste our time with stuff like that. We need to be the people who think big and allow AI to do that. So I think we should make sure that we're just using it correctly.